Hello. Well, here we are again. After almost a year and a half without a conversation, today. I have one of my friends, Jan Rivera. He is an amazing prog rock player from Puerto Rico. So we might do this in English. We might switch to Spanish at some point, depending on who's watching and if you have any questions. Um, but today we have Jan, and let's talk about music and life and his approach to music, his rhythmic approach to music, what he's doing right now. Jan is like I said, he's Puerto Rican. He studied there first, and he did his bachelor's in classical guitar in Puerto Rico first and music education. Then he moved to Los Angeles to Musicians Institute, where he studied with Alex Makashek, which we talked to last year. He's another standard artist. He started with Greg Howe and Scott Henderson, among others. Of course, I'm going to invite Jan now, and then we can talk. Let's go here. Let's see. Jan,
Hey, how you doing?
what's up, brother?
Oh, how are you doing, man? Been pretty
Doing
good,
well.
been pretty good, doing well.
How are things in LA?
Oh, nice weather. I can't complain about that. Any day that I get nice weather is a good day. You know how that
Yep.
goes. Nice and
And
nice music around us too. Nice music.
pretty cool. And gas prices going crazy.
Oh, brother, don't don't even start there.
I know. It's funny when you have to decide, do I buy another guitar or do I pay for gas?
I filled the car.
So, Jan, it's a pleasure to have you today, man. And, being Latino, being almost brothers from, islands, very close. I mean, he's, like I said, he's from Puerto Rico. And if you don't know me, which all of you do, I guess, but I am from the Dominican Republic. So we are half an hour away, pretty much.
Very close, very
So,
close.
Jan,
And yeah.
huh?
First of all, I just wanted to say that the pleasure is all mine. I appreciate you having me.
Well, it's. I wanted to have you for a while, and I know you're doing a lot of great things. So it's a good time to have you, actually.
Oh, we try. We try.
So, Jan, let's begin with our conversation, going back to let's say to your beginnings in Puerto Rico. So, what age? How old were you when you started playing guitar?
So when I was a kid, my dad was this happy-go-lucky guy, and we used to have like lots of people over, and we were like kind of like the happy place in the neighborhood. And so my dad would be playing, and I saw like this bond that he had with everyone around him, like family members and people from outside. And it was all tied to the guitar because he would grab a guitar and start playing some chords. He never studied music or anything like that, but he would play a couple chords, sing out, and I saw like this beautiful thing happening. That's when I started saying, you know what, this is interesting. I think that I like to do this, and I've kind of put that aside until later on when I finally decided like then let me study this. So I think I'm interested in this. To start it, which is weird. I started doing biomedics.
Wow.
I think I was just turned 16. I decided like I skipped my last year of high school and I was like gonna go straight to studying. And it was my dad that goes like, "You come home and you throw the book back to the side. You get good grades, but you don't care about this, do you?" It's like you don't care about what you're doing. What are you doing? Like, why are you studying this? No, like you you drop it and then you pick up a guitar and then you play the rest of the day. And so like, what are you even doing? Like, I'm like, music, yeah. Like, I guess I should do that. And I decided to like that's when I decided to actually study, go out and study.
Okay. So you were about 16 when you decided to 17, 16, probably.
When to go to the university, yeah, I was like 16. And then I went to school in Puerto Rico. And at the time, now there's like some popular music programs over there, but at the time there weren't any. I'm sure it was. I don't know if it was the same over there, and Dominican Republic, but back home there were no. As do you want to do classical guitar, or would you like to do classical guitar? And you can go. There were two universities. There were two universities, and then you could only do classical guitar in this one. If you didn't want to do it there, they're like, well, we also have the conservatory, which does classical guitar. You guessed it. And I had my sights set on. I looked at Berkeley and all that, but it was not an option. It was too expensive, and so I decided to just start doing classical guitar. And I, went over there, graduated from a couple degrees and all that. But yeah, not a lot of that going on now. There's like like a Berkeley school, and there's like a program in the Latin jazz studies, and so now it's actually a thing. You can go
Okay.
and study it. Yeah.
Yeah, in the DR, it was basically the same thing. It was classical. When I started doing, going to school for guitar, it was classical. Then we fought for our program. I mean, we had the big band. We had the first big band, and that was almost 30 years ago, or maybe 30 years ago actually. I was the first guitarist for that big band, but it was a struggle to have it because the classical people at the time were not too open to open the conservatory to popular music. And then it was the same thing. But then now we have the program. We have the popular music program too in the conservatory. And we have two universities where you can do music education in one, and you can do contemporary styles, so contemporary music in the other one, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm grateful for the time in classical because I did get a lot of the stuff that I use now still. Um, I like choral music, and I think some of the harmony stuff is from there. I also have like voices, like little voice ensembles in some of my songs. So it's a very, very heavy influence that it's just not going to go away. But it's, and we had to do like choral music for 2 years, and we had to do conducting, which is we have to do orchestration. So like that composition, a lot of it comes from there. Definitely, it's you can't doubt it. It's so
Well,
strong. It wouldn't be. I don't know. It's a high percentage of my weird mix that comes from there.
well,
Definitely.
it's your early influences, and that always stays with you, definitely.
Hmm.
Now, talking about early influences. Now, you are 16, 17, going to classical guitar, and then what were you listening to outside?
So I think kind of like the same, the same guys, a lot of the same guys a lot of people listen to. I did listen to some blues and stuff like that, and then we got linked to like there was like Steve Vai and like Joe Satriani and like, but in school, this teacher started to play us. Landry was his name, Jax. He was French Canadian, and he's taught us little jazz classes. He started like sneaking them into their curriculum, and so we did. He was like, "Here's Pat Martino, and here's like Pat Metheny, and here's like this other guy." And we also listened to like Tal Farlow and a lot of flamenco too, like the Gypsy Kids and the Gypsy Jazz and that type of deal. But that kind of stood like that kind of took the flamenco stuff I still listen to and bossa stuff. Bossa.
Okay, okay. For me, it was, well, as you know, I grew up in heavy metal. So for me, it was metal, 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 and then jazz. And then, of course, I was doing classical. But outside, it was metal.
Oh, I mean, metal wise too. I gotta say, like Ozzy Osbourne with
Yeah,
Sackball on guitar around
yeah,
that
yeah.
that time, and no, I listened to that stuff too.
You know,
Black Label
oh
Society,
yeah,
like,
oh yeah. They were
what
they
is
were just here a few days ago.
Yeah.
in Colorado. Now, you know what's funny? I remember I exchanged a heavy metal boss pedal.
Hmm.
I have two. So I exchanged one of those for a Steve Vai Passion and Warfare cassette
Oh, there you go.
because it was so hard to get that I had to have that music, and I literally exchanged the pedal for the cassette.
Look, back there, like people here go to see, like they go to see one of those guys, like Levi or Joe, whatever it might be. You don't get it. You don't get it. Like how lucky you guys are. If you're in the States and you can like if you're in like LA, you can go to the Baked Potato and like listen to like like Frank and then I listened to Holsworth and Scott, like whoever it was. And but back home, like Van Halen came one time. I was almost like 17. It was like the first band like that ever came. And for us, it was like I don't know, like aliens were coming from another planet to visit because because you just never got that. That never happened. It
Yep.
never. That was my first big concert like that. I think I was like 18 or maybe 20, I think, and I got to see Van Halen for the first time. It's like everybody was like out of their minds, like oh my goodness, like and then like Dream Theater came once, one time, but yeah, it was just surreal. It's a surreal experience.
Yeah.
I we moved to the States, and the first thing that happens, I get to see Franklin Valley at the Baked Potato. For you, it's like you saw this alien, like this guy that you only saw in like videotapes and like this and the other thing. You didn't get to see him. Like he wouldn't like go to Puerto Rico. Like you never got to do any of that. And just seeing that for the first time,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my God, yeah,
Well,
you're
for
shocked.
me, it was the same thing. I mean, I remember when the first time I heard, well, I was getting into jazz, right?
Mm.
So I remember I did civil engineering for almost 1.5 years. I almost graduated,
Oh
but
wow.
but one of my professors, a calculus professor, he gave me a cassette tape of Thelonious Monk.
Mm.
That was my introduction to jazz. Of course, I hated it. I mean, imagine I come from heavy metal to listen to Thelonious Monk,
Right.
and it was like, oh my God, what is this? I can't listen to this. Well, then I listened to Frank and Valley.
Mm.
Frank was my introduction to jazz, really. I told him this before. He knows. But he was my introduction through Chick Corea and him. And then I got into jazz. Then Scott Henderson and all the other guys. Then I got into jazz. But yeah, it was, people they take it, we take it for granted. That's what it
Yeah.
is. The fact that we can go see Steve Vai, half an hour away from here, or Judas Priest, or Joe Satriani, or whoever. In our countries, that doesn't happen.
No.
I mean,
No.
those people don't go there.
They don't. I think Holsworth went. I was already in the States, and it might have been like 5 years ago. I know Adam Rogers went, I think 6 years ago, and it was like the first time they've ever done it. But it's like an event. It was like
Yeah, yeah.
Van Halen. The stadium was sold out when Van Halen came. It was like, oh my God, Van Halen is coming! Van Halen is coming! What? It's anybody that would just come, but even like I think BB King went once, and it's like just sold out like nuts. It's like what? Another guitarist is go. Yeah, it's a total different experience. It's a total
Yeah,
different
it
experience.
is. It
But
is. But
how much? No, my bad. Go ahead.
no, no,
Yeah.
go ahead, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say like yeah, and while watching all these guys and really liking what they were doing, I remember I was doing like my master's in classical, and I had to do this long piece. You're playing like a piece that's like at a half an hour long. We put papers like that, and you start playing, and then you like jump a little bit, play the second page, jump a little bit, play the third page, jump a little bit, play the fourth page. And when that day was done, I kind of like reevaluated my life. I was like, this is not. I was like, this is not what I want to be playing. I mean, yeah, I need to do my thing. I need to go and do something different, man. I would look at all these guys playing, and I just gotta go. That's when I decided to get in a plane and go to come to LA to MI.
Now let's go there. We have that in common. I almost came to MI when I was 19 or so.
Mm,
At the time, they had all the big guys: Paul Gilbert, Joe Pass, Jennifer Batten, Gambale, Scott Henderson.
mm.
Everybody was there. So, but I remember when I applied, I got accepted. Everything was going well until my dad told me 2 weeks before, "You are not going there with my money. Do whatever you
Oh.
want, but not with my money." But you actually did. You actually did come to MI. How was that
Yeah.
experience for you?
So yeah, I didn't come to my dad's money either. I had to take a loan. No, it was great. When I got there, I got to see some people, like that you wouldn't have. There's no way I would have come into contact with any of those guys if I hadn't gone there. And so I remember I saw like Guthrie and Scott Henderson was every week. Imagine you go to school and every week there's a room and there's a lot of people around the room looking inside through the glass, but they're all afraid to go into the room. So that's got, and I kid you not, I'm talking, there would be 15, 20 people outside the door. The door is like, it's wood and there's a little glass window that you could look through, maybe like this. That's it, right? And there's 15 people looking through that little glass, and Scott's like by himself inside the room because it's an open counseling, which means anybody can come in and kind of jam with Scott. But everybody was so intimidated. They were all so intimidated that they wouldn't come in at all. They're just like stay there. And I decided, you know what? No, I came in. Like I was like, man, you know how many miles I flew? It's a 13-hour trip total. Like, and coming back, like, no, I'm going and I gotta learn from this guy. And so Scott Henderson goes, okay, what do you want to learn? And I said, look, I just came. I don't know a whole bunch. I was just doing classical, but I like to learn. And like, please tell me what can I do? I like fusion. I like this. I like the other. He was like, all right, sit yourself down. Sit yourself down and grab a notebook. Grab a notebook, man. And I grabbed my little notebook and I start writing. I kid you not, I don't know how many hours I was there just writing things like sheets and sheets of paper, but just writing them out. And maybe, I don't know how many pages. It was just crazy of like telling me you need to study this, you need to study the other, here's superimpositions, here's the thing. It's like, you're not going to understand any of this, but I'm going to tell you how to study it. And one of the things that like immediately, like you get there and you feel, like, wow, that hits you. It's like that. This is kind of like I was looking for this. This is the thing I was looking. And you go like, this guy. The other thing is like, this guy's real. This guy's real, and you start, meeting these people like him. I was, I was lucky enough to study with him, Greg Howe, for a little bit at his house. And you start to get to know those people, and then like the dynamic changes. It turns into a different thing. Alex Makatek was a big teacher. He was my teacher for like 5 years, I think. And we shared a lot of the same interests because he played with like Virgil and Terry Bozzio and all these guys that are like Planet X and yeah. He shared the same interest, and he taught me how to learn, which I think is the biggest thing you can give
Yep.
anybody. So, like, he
Yep.
taught me how to learn, which is important. It's important.
I,
Like,
I
no,
think I think the greatest lesson I hope I teach my students from the university is exactly that:
mm,
how you can learn, because things are gonna keep evolving. So you need to learn how to learn.
yeah, yeah. It's the biggest thing because you feel like you're trying to swim in this like endless. You're doing river rafting without the little boat. You're just like in the water, and the water's just hitting your face.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, no, it
And
makes
then
all the difference in the
it's
world.
funny because then you think you know something, and then you hear somebody playing something or writing something. It's like, oh, I don't know anything. I
Oh,
need to go
forget
back
about
and
it.
learn.
Forget about it all the time. Still to the like, yeah, definitely, definitely.
I
You look
remember,
like
I started with Dick Grove. I don't know if you remember Dick Grove. Maybe
I
not. That
no.
was before your time. He died in '98, but he
Mm,
was kind of the big competition for MI in Los Angeles. He had the other school in Los Angeles was him, Grove School of Music.
mm,
And I remember he told me I started our composition and arranging with him. That was my, for years, and still, all this stuff I learned from him, it, it was in part how to learn styles and how to learn arranging and how to learn about things, about
yeah,
music. And he was big into that same thing. I'm gonna teach you how to learn your stuff, the stuff you listen to, and how to do it in a quick and effective way.
yeah,
So I don't have to spend 4 days trying to determine what meter this is or whatever.
yeah, yeah. It's having good teachers makes all of the honestly makes all the difference. It's just I don't know how else to say it. Like if it weren't for that, the teachers back home that kind of like got me started with the classical stuff, and now with the ones that I had over at my Auntie Kotikoski was major auntie like with starting with the odd meter stuff and which is a big thing for me like the rhythmic stuff and Chris Jurgensen yeah was another guy who got me into like the modal stuff. It's very important. Peter Hume, oof, orchestration and yeah, no, I mean I could be here for a while.
No, I get it, man. And there are people that change your life every time when you go to their classrooms or whatever. And I have people like that too. I actually wrote a blog where I mentioned like 5 or 6 of those people that helped me become the musician I am today, pretty much, and the person I am today, for that matters. Now, you one of the things that caught my attention with you was one of my friends from one of the guitar groups I am in. He mentioned your book, your Advanced Rhythmic Concepts for Guitar.
Hmm.
And of course, I said, well, first I didn't know who you were, and I was like, Jan Rivera. So he sounds like Latino at least or something. So let me check him out. Well, I bought the book, and the same day, and I was blown away by it. The way you explain the rhythmic approach for polymeters, polyrhythms, all that stuff, metric modulation, all that stuff, it's pretty intense and pretty cool. So tell me about the process, what you went through to put that book together, when you started, when you finished, all that stuff.
So I think I was 23 when I started with that, and took me a couple of years. I was really into it. I was really into rhythms, and even back home, I didn't know that this existed. But I used to do the extension class at the conservatory, and they would do like, "Now we're gonna do quintuplets. Now we're gonna do sextuplets," and I was like, "Oh, this is cool. I liked it. I enjoy it." But it just stayed there. But at MI, as I was going to MI, I was already writing the book because I'm like, there's nothing like this for guitar players. I started looking. I had literally bought every single book that had to do with that, and I went to like this wild goose chase to like 1920s. Like, look, there's like a 3, 4, and whatever over two, but nothing that I could really find for guitar players. And I said, I was in a lesson studying at MI, and it was actually Alex that goes, I'm like, man, I need to know more about this. I'm finding it interesting. And because I'm thinking about it this way and the other way, and this is all these are, and so I started showing them the little charts and all that. I'm putting this together, and he goes, but there's no book. And I told him, there's no book. And he goes, why didn't you write it? Like that. It was like, why didn't you write it? And I'm like, man, like that's harsh. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Bing! And it kind of like it lit up right there. And I decided, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna write this because I know, or I mean, not I know, but I hope that, someone else comes along. And I kind of wrote the book for myself. It was like I was trying to write the book for people that would myself before knowing these things. I knew that there were going to be other people that were going to be interested in this type of stuff, and yeah, started writing it out. I think it took over a little bit over 6 years or something like that
Wow.
to get it completed. And breaking it down because a lot of people talk about theory, right, and the relationship to theory, but not a lot of people think about how rhythm is related to itself, and it has a similar working to theory. It has a similar working to theory. It's all about the fact that when you see parallel keys, like something very easy, right? You see like G major, E minor. How do you know context? But when they see like things like polyrhythms, why is it this one or the other one? It's the same
Hmm.
deal. It's context, but not a lot of people, I would say, address that fact. There's the same relationship. It has the same importance, and things connect in the same way as they do with theory. If you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I bought the book, like I said, I was blown away by it. But it was the way you explained everything. It's very well put out, very well put together, and it shows that you took your time, like all these years to put it together. It was not like just something. It was took your time to explain it in a way that it makes sense.
But yeah, that was my goal. I was like, that's another thing. Old school books, and you know this. You know this. A lot of old school books. Come on now. They were like, here you go.
Yep.
Oh, you didn't get it? Too bad. That's how
You
old
know.
school books used to be. These guys do a lot. They threw something out.
Hmm.
Man, I saw this rhythm book. I remember I got so frustrated because it had figures in it. It's like, this is a book about this. And it had all the figures written, like just written out. No explanation. And I'm like, wait, isn't the point of this to like for me to learn what this is supposed to be? No explanation. Just like I'm supposed to know it by, I don't know, osmosis or something. Like there's this signal that's gonna come into my head and drop in. I'm like, oh
You
my
know.
god.
You know what the problem is? I think is a lot of people when they write books, they know the material, right?
Mm,
They know it, and
yeah,
they assume that you
everybody
are
has
at the
one.
same level.
This
And it's
this
like, no, treat me like a kid,
yeah,
you know, step by step.
definitely. I mean, no, like this particular one was like no words, just like there were figures written and then you had to play them, and I'm like, what? And it
Hmm.
was supposed to be about explaining that how to do it. I'm like, no, no, no. So yeah, it hit me, and I thought, I don't want people to go through this. As much as I can, at the best of my ability. Yeah, you learn things, through the years because it's been a while since it came out. But you learn things through the years, and you could probably explain it a little bit better. But at the time, just like I need to explain this the best way possible, so that anybody. That's the point. Do
Yep.
you have this? You have this thing, right? That someone, for me, I had to look for this information. I had to like seek it out. The point is to share it, man. You're trying to share something with other people so that this kind of like keeps living. It keeps moving. It's
Yep.
like a living thing. A living thing. It's a tradition. The things that I pick up from my teachers, I want to give them forward. It's not to keep them bottled in. It's not to keep things to yourself. You want to keep move. You want to give. You want to give to the ones that are coming next,
Yep.
or the ones that are there with you. Because even when you sit in a room, I know you're gonna give me things. I give you some things, and we both learn from each other. Like that's kind of like the situation. That's kind of the deal. But not to. We can't forget that the goal is that the goal, especially with a book, it's like it's about learning, right?
Yeah.
It's to it's to share that. to share that. And so like the whatever I can do to get that across, the better it is because I'm giving something. If I really love this, if I really love this, then I want it to keep living.
Of course, of course. And I think you accomplished that in that book. You
Thanks,
accomplished,
man.
because the material is, I mean, it's what it is. It's hard, but you put it in a way that it's easy to understand. Now it takes practice after that.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, I'm
Like
still
everything
practicing.
else. But one thing well, I've been teaching for my entire life, and every time I teach something, I try to find ways to explain it better. That's what it is. The next time, sometimes I say to myself, "Did I explain that, in a way that people understood, or I understood it because I know it?"
Yeah.
So, and that's a lot of great players and great composers are not great teachers. A lot of them. But I find, that people like Alex, like Frank Gambale, is one of them. Frank put together all the books he put together were so well thought out. Still today, he's putting out a lot of stuff in the school. By the way, check out the guitar school for Frank, and you can get a discount from if you use my coupons.
Yeah. Hey,
But
Frank.
but the
Frank's the
thing is,
man.
Frank, he created that approach. He made a system of how to, the sweep picking and stuff. So he put it in a way for him. That's what I felt. It was. He's a great player and a great teacher.
Mm.
But there are many books, and you know that, and videos even that you watch them, and it's like, oh, shoot, am I that stupid?
Oh. It happens. I mean, yeah. But no, like you said, and I think some things happened to me. Well, first of all, I come from a family of teachers. Okay. Back home, my mom, my dad, my on my father's side, my uncle and my aunt, they were all professors. So I think maybe some of that took. And the other thing that was that when I actually wrote some music like this. I mean, pretty much all the music I write has this stuff in it, like polyrhythms, polymeters, metric modulations, and because it's my language, not because that's another thing. It's about the music. Always about the music first. You listen to the music, you wouldn't be able to tell. It doesn't matter if you know or not. You listen to it, and the emotions there. It's not about this stuff. But you have to be able to play, right? So when I was doing my jury, and I remember someone that was doing it hadn't had the experience with it, and this person said like, "Well, I'll do your jury if you teach me how to do this." So I think there were a good part of the book, how to explain it to you, came because I went through kind of like a live teaching situation before the book took place, and I had to like put it into practice and teach them part by part. And so I would go home and go like, "Oh, you know what? Let me fix this. This could be better explained. This is, this analogy is wrong, whatever it might be. Like this got to be easier." And whenever that person looked at me, like, I was like, okay, this is a chance to get better. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
a chance to get better. So yeah, I think that had to do with it because initially, and this goes to kind of like friendship too. I had to postpone that jury for 6 months because I couldn't find players to play it, and this person came forward and was like, "I don't care, and we're gonna but so let's do kind of like this trade." And that's what it is, what I was talking about, sharing, right?
Yeah,
That gave me a lot. That experience
that's
gave me a
beautiful.
lot. Yeah.
It's funny how once we composers, we write something, we think it's clear, whatever, and then you take it to the musicians, and they're like, "What?" And then you have to decide, okay, that was not clear. Then let me go back and change that, whatever. It happens to me a lot because a lot of my music is Dominican based, let's say, or
Mm.
Caribbean based. So a lot of players, and they come to these rhythms, it's like, oops, they
Yeah.
don't understand what's happening, and it's I think learning how to explain those rhythms to people. It
It, so to that point, this is perfect. This is perfect. This is why I love you. The thing. This is how it feeds into. There's a section in the book called implicit polymeters. So basically, what you're doing is you write it normally, and you put these little accents and these little things, and they're reading it
Yep,
normally,
yep,
but they're actually doing it without knowing that they're doing it. And this is
yep.
something that I had to do because sometimes they would bring to school like horns. There's sometimes they brought like a whole string section, and you would write for them. So what I would do is I kind of like started doing it that way, develop you know develop how to write it so that they didn't know that they were playing it, but they were playing it
Hmm.
anyway. So you're getting the effect. You put the accents where you, oh, well, there one is there, it's not there. So put an accent. This is there. Do this and do the
Yep.
other thing. So that's how kind of like that
You
was
know,
born.
years ago, I was writing a lot of meter changes and stuff for the entire band, of course. And a friend of mine told me, man, if you write it in four, but put the accents where you want them, people will play it easier. I mean, it
Everybody,
doesn't look cool, but it's
everybody, start
playable.
copying this down. Shh, it's a secret.
Nobody has to see the music.
It's a
That's
secret,
fun.
man. It's
Now
a
let's go to
secret.
your music, Jan. Let's
Sure.
go to your music. I love your music because
Oh,
all of
thanks.
this we
Appreciate
are
it.
talking about, all of this we are talking about, all the polymeters, polyrhythms, all that stuff. It's in your music, like you said. It's you. It's the way you think. It's the way you compose music. It's the way you play music. You have a few projects going on right now. Actually, on your YouTube channel, you have a couple of songs that are great. By the way, if you haven't checked them out, check them out. There's one with Mohini Dey, the amazing Indian player, bass player. I remember the first time I saw her, she was like 10, and she put a video on YouTube, and I was like, "Whoa, who's this kid?" Well, now
Hmm.
she's not 10, but she's an incredible player. And you have Marco Minnemann,
Yeah.
who is another monster in the same vein, let's
Hmm.
say, because a lot of the things Marco plays are polymeters, polyrhythms, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you have another one that it's also on your channel with Marco and Nili Brosh,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah.
Encounter. The other one is called Things That Don't Fit. By the way,
Hmm.
if check it out if you haven't, because it's a great. By the way, it's a great video too. But
Well, thank you.
I know you did the video, so
Yeah, yeah. Like creative director was my wife. Oh my God, she's got so many crazy ideas. The best ideas. Love her, because she's just always on it. Oh
now
man.
tell me about those two projects.
So I had been writing music for a bit, and something kind of weird happened that I didn't expect. I started writing the music out, and I kind of had these people in mind, like that I liked. Um, but there's no guarantees in life. You don't know that you get who you get to work with, and especially people like this. But I wrote it, and it just happened that I was lucky enough that pretty much everyone that I wanted to work with, and for the lineups are the people that I envisioned when I wrote the tunes. And so I called seek Marco out, and he really enjoyed the music. Um, and something happened with him that I knew. Okay, so if you know Marco Minnemann, you know he's great. He's just amazing. He's the most craziest drummers you probably ever see.
Well, if you
Uh,
don't know him, he's played with Satriani,
Paul
Aristocrats,
Gilbert, yeah,
everybody. He
Paul
auditioned
Gilbert,
for Dream Theater.
yeah, and oh my God, it's just he's a machine. He's just a machine. I know he did Steve Wilson, who just got like top of the charts or something like that. I don't know if he was in that one, but I know Steve. I've heard stories. I gotta ask him when I see him again, which should be. I'm gonna ask him because I heard a story that Steve Wilson sends Marco an album, and like I think it was New Year's or something like that. I don't know. And apparently he writes back within like some hours. It's like, here's the album. I just tracked it. A full prog album. So full prog album in a day. This is what I heard. I gotta ask him. But like working with him, the one thing that's what I was saying, like, yeah, he's crazy, but I never expected this. The way that we clicked, it's almost like he was in my head. The things that I wanted out, what I wanted out of the music, what I wanted out of I would send him the sheet music. It's almost like I didn't have to tell him stuff. Like there are things that he says like, I feel sometimes like I feel like this was kind of too easy, but it's just we had a lot of shared inspirational players, right? A lot of shared influences, and I think that definitely plays into it. But man, he would just come out, and I'm like, finally, because I turned this music on. There's a tune that I turned in years. I think I had to wait like 2 years or so, and it just got kicked back at the end of the time. But man, Marco just came in and was reading my mind. And Mo is, what can you say about Mo? I mean, she just brings it every time. She brings her flavor and she adds to it. She adds to it. Whenever you get these players with me, a lot of people go like, "Oh no, you drop them in." No. For me, the process for composition is you think about who's going to be the best person for this, and that's why there's all these different players. You see the songs and the lineups change, and it's because Marco was the same drummer because we clicked, but like sometimes you see a different guitar player or something. And it's because every time I'm thinking, who is the best person, not in like, oh, they can play so great, but like the person that fits, that person who do I have in mind? Who's that voice that I hear when I'm writing things out? And that's who you want. That's the person that you get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean with that. Because, that's what Duke Ellington did with his band. I mean, he had, like, there are scores, I think, where he actually wrote the name of the player, not the instrument. It was this player. In my band, for example, I think I told you this. There's a sound in my head for my trumpets. Without my lead player, Brad Good, I don't hear that. I don't care. It doesn't matter who the lead player is. Thankfully, I've been, in the band, I have great players all the time. And the lead player is always great. But the sound I hear when I write is Brad. And my sound for my saxes is Will Swindler, who is my lead player too on saxes. I know what you mean with that. It's interesting.
And I gotta tell you, like, sometimes, and that goes to show you, like, for me, I think we said it with the rhythmic stuff and now with the players. It's about the music at the end of the day. It's how do you get to that idea that's just like coming at you every single day, hitting you on the head, and getting it out and grabbing those people that are going to fit that and bring what you want to bring to life. That's what matters. Because it's like I said, like that's why sometimes this players change. That's why, because you want the right people, those sounds that for me, I know go well together, and those are the guys that those are the people that you want.
That's pretty cool. It's funny that I saw Marco and Mohini Dey with Pliny. It's exactly the same trio, except that it was Pliny.
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
They did a gig at Alva's, I think it was. I think it was like after an AM. Mo was telling me.
Were you there?
No, I was there. Mo was telling me about it. She was here visiting. It was like 2 months ago, something like that. Okay. I think. And she was telling me about the story.
It was the first year I went to NAMM with Strandberg. I think we went to the concert afterwards. It was amazing. And what they did, without Pliny, what they did, it was like your music. It was that kind of thing. When they did solos between the two of them, it was pretty amazing. Now, when I hear your music with them, it makes total sense. Makes total sense.
Thanks, and that's the biggest compliment because I know a lot of people. Sometimes people want me to talk about myself a lot and go like, "You need to talk about yourself more, not the other players or whatever." But it's because it's about the music first, and I'm glad to me that what you just said is the biggest compliment because you're saying the music came first, the music gelled, and you created something that flows.
Yeah,
and that's what you want. And it's the same, kind of like it's the same process for when I do the crazy rhythmic stuff. I'm singing it, and in the video. All right, there's a reason to watch the video now. That not still promotion. So if you go to things that don't fit with Marco and Mo, you'll see that there are sections that I'm dancing. There's like it's in 13/16, and there's like not like a non-retrogradable rhythm. It means it's if you play the rhythm that way or that way, it's the same. It's 2 bars to 13/16. They go 4/4/2/3, then 3/2/4/4. And if you see I'm dancing to it, that's the proof. That's the proof. I'm dancing to it because I'm singing it.
Yep.
I feel like sometimes, especially when people are starting out, it's all about like, look at all these rhythms, like they're insane. You know what I mean? And no, it's about music. It's about music. And so like, this is what the sound that I have in my head. This is the idea that I have. I was inspired or whatever it was, or I sat down to craft this, like read it. And this is what I'm singing. Like when I'm around the house, I'm singing this stuff. Like when I'm doing this, like, and that's what it is. Then I notate it, get it out, and put it out into the world. But that's the goal.
And that's what makes it authentic. Is that it comes from naturally for you. I mean, for other people might not, and that's okay. Other people listen to different kinds of music or they create in a different way. I mean, we are all different in that regard. And
and it can be, and it's all amazing because look, I listen to all different types of guys. Like I listen to, and it's not a competition. Stop competing. It's not a competition. Like I listen to Andre Nieri, amazing. I listen to Holsworth, great. I listen to like whoever it might be. All these different styles. They don't sound the same at all. You listen to Scott Henderson, he's different. I listen to Bill Frisell. Let's take it completely out of this equation of like guys that play faster or whatever. Bill Frisell, sorry. Beautiful. One of my favorite guys, actually. Jimmy Weibel, who just played like a clean guitar, big jazz box, playing by himself, doing chord melody. Beautiful stuff. I have Passanella. NLP, beautiful stuff. There's not a competition. It can all be different and be remarkably beautiful, and that's the point.
And I think we, especially nowadays, with all the stuff happening in the world, we need more and more happiness. And the happiness we can bring as composers, creative people, movies, music, books, whatever. We need to put it out.
Yeah.
And, it's not a competition, like you said. You mentioned Bill Frisell. You know what's funny? He came to my university. He actually studied here. He's from Denver. And he studied here clarinet.
Whoa. Nuts.
He was studying clarinet. And then he quit. And then, of course, became Bill Frisell. but he came here before he was Bill Frisell. Now, I love your music. I love your approach to music, your rhythmic approach. I love the way you are now talking about it and knowing how you created that makes me like it more even.
Thanks, son.
Because it's like you said. I mean, it comes natural. It comes from you. It's not like something you have to think about. Like I'm gonna do this difficult just because.
Yeah, it's just like, or sometimes it's like. I feel like you start learning something and either showing off, or like you just learn something, so you just want to do that. That's part of the process. So you just do it till you get it. But at a certain point, like something easy like triplets, right? You started the first time you saw like an eighth note triplet, very easy rhythmic figure. You go like, oh my god, I need to split one into three. How does this happen? It's almost magic. And but it's the normal, like after a while it's the most normal thing. Like all musicians play that figure.
You know, I remember there was a measure in a classical piece. It was measure 10. I don't remember the piece. I remember the measure because it was eighth notes on the thumb and then triplets here.
Yeah.
And that was hard for me at the time. We are talking about 30 years ago. But I remember that measure 10. And I still remember the music.
No.
Now, what about your other projects? I know you have more people involved in your projects. We talked about those two videos, and they are amazing. But there are more things coming up, right?
Yeah, we got a lot of more stuff in the works. There's something. There's something with I'd say people involved. So Jordan Rudess from Dream Theater.
Oh, nice.
We're doing a few songs. They're doing a few songs.
Well, he's doing a solo tour now too.
Yeah.
He's been doing a solo thing.
He's doing a solo thing. Actually, caught up with him in LA. Yeah, he's doing his solo thing, but it was just watching. It was the craziest thing too. I was thinking about him, and I'm watching him. He's out videos about rhythm. I'm like, and he's like in the car. I think it's the middle of a tour or something, and he's like, I'm gonna do this, and now we're gonna do this. Let's practice, and just practicing rhythm in the car, just like clapping it out, and you're just having them all in the car. And I'm like, it's the same kind of deal. And if you listen to Jordan's clean piano, it's almost like I call him like the modern Chopin when he plays like his piano stuff. When he plays, with the distortion and all that, obviously sounds like a distorted guitar player, and he has so many talents. He's nuts. But yeah, so I started scoping out. I'm like, damn, this is something I would like to work with. And it happens that I send them a message, and we video with each other. We do I think it was like Skype or whatever it might be. And he goes, "Oh, I've listened to your music, and I like how it sounds." And I'm like, wow, that was kind of crazy. First of all, it wasn't released, so he's got people. He's got people. You gotta look out for that guy. He's got people. He's got secret people. But and we started talking, and nicest guy, really the nicest guy, and the way we share a lot of things there, like how we view it and all this, and amazing to work with. So him, there's stuff with Jordan Rudess, there's stuff with Chad Wackerman.
Nice.
We're doing like a very rhythmic piece together. Gary Husband, who played with John McLaughlin and Holsworth, Jimmy Johnson, who played with Holsworth as well, and everybody, because and Chris Clark, who's the keyboard player for Virgil Donati. Also, one of the songs, I'm very happy to say that one of the songs that I did with Jordan features my brother, who is a ridiculous guitar player, Juan Antonio. You should check him out. It's just Adam, because he teaches at a conservatory and everything. I mean, he's also an MI graduate, but
he lives in Puerto Rico, right?
He lives in Puerto Rico. Scary player.
I might look them up when I go there. I supposedly there is something that I was gonna do there. It hasn't happened yet, but we'll see.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. No.
Man, I'm super excited about your projects, about what you're bringing to the table, and I think it's different. I think it's different.
Thanks.
You mentioned Gary Husband. I know he had something with Alex. They have an album together that was also kind of I think. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, no,
Maybe I
yeah,
am
now.
mistaken. Huh?
No, they did. It's called Now,
They
yeah.
did, right?
Hmm.
And Marco Minnemann too. I think Marco and Alex did something.
24 Tales. So
Yeah.
it's a it was Marco had like this soul that he gave to, oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting him from King Crimson. Oh my God. I should be shunned right now, but it's just my but yeah, him and he took Marco's solo and did an
Solos.
album. And then Alex took his solos and did a whole album from it was like a 60-minute solo, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
task was to like Project Normalizer, and they had to like compose a whole
I
each
have it. I mean, it's amazing.
yeah.
It's amazing. Um, but what you're bringing to the table is interesting. It's fresh, I think, and it's pretty cool
Thank
right
you.
off the bat. It's pretty cool. So like I said to you before, I congratulate you. Oh, I mean, it's a great project. It's a great album. I know it's going to be a great album.
No, thanks so much, and it means a lot coming from you. Definitely, yeah, appreciate that.
Thanks, man. So, who's mixing your album, by the way?
Oh, TJ Helmer, he founded the MI's recording program. He is a Grammy nominee for work that he did for with a Frank Zappa too, actually.
Nice, nice.
And he's worked with Frank Zappa plays Zappa. That guy, he's worked with Frank O'Malley, he's worked with
Brett Garcia.
Brad Garza. Who's who of Fusion? If you check his credits, even Steve Vai's work, like so he goes outside of Fusion, but like who's who of Fusion? He's probably Scott Kinsey, like because he did Tribal Tech. He's done a lot of Scott Henderson tunes in records. He's just he's a
Nice.
monster that lives inside this dungeon that's always mixing stuff.
I know what that is.
Yeah, I know you can tell me some stories about that. Definitely. No, yeah. TJ is, and talk about finding the right people. In that regard, I gotta say I've been so lucky. I mean, it's taken me maybe longer than but that doesn't matter. It's about finding them whenever you find them, and TJ will take a tune and disappear, and then come back with something beautiful. Because he knows what the idea is, he knows what the atmosphere is. He knows how to the sound that I'm looking for. That's the important thing. The sound that I'm looking for. What's that sonar quality that I'm looking for? And he knows me very well. So I just send them to him and not be nervous. I remember the beginning, like the first one, I was like, oh, I don't know, man, how this is gonna happen. I don't want people changing my. But he just picked it up. He knew what it was. He knew where I wanted to go. Kind of clicked, and work it. Like he'll come back and give you, here's 3 versions. Pick whichever one you want. Like that. No, you want people like that. People that there's a shared love for the material.
That's
And
the
I
whole
think,
point of what we do, I think. We don't make much money out of the kind of music we do. But we have to love it, and we have to work with people that also loves it.
yeah, definitely. It's the only way. There needs to be a shared love, and it's got to be people that I gel with, and like if you don't, it's not going to be the same. The project's not going to be the same. It's not going to work out. It really isn't. The people need to be people that you gel with. It needs to be people that you gel with musically. Personally, for sure, I've everybody that Marco, Fun times. Mo, incredible. Like we during the pandemic, Mo came to LA to live, right? Actually lived like a few blocks from here.
Nice.
But it was like we were hanging out together quite often. And that's what you want in a team because
Yeah.
it's a team. It's a team. Can't be about individuals. Got to be about the team. Everybody being together. Everybody, you know, and admiring and really being into what each other is doing. It's
And
the only way.
when that happens, the music comes out good because you have the mutual admiration. Maybe you have the all this stuff happening, and when you play music together, that comes out, and people can feel that. People can see.
It's easy. It comes out easier. It
You
really
know,
does. The
yeah.
process.
When I am in front of my band, I am the biggest fan of what they are doing, not of my music. It's what they are doing. It's like every lick they play is like, wow. I am there enjoying the thing more than the audience, I think.
Doesn't it happen though that a lot of times the tunes come out and it doesn't really feel like it's your music? You're just
Uh-huh.
listening to this thing that you've been listening to before, but now it came from here and now you can listen it out here.
Yep, yep,
And
definitely.
when you get that, it's like this relief. Like
Mhm.
I got it out. It's there. And
And you
it's
found the right people to do it.
yeah,
That's
it's
what it is.
easier. It really is. Um ev- Everyone, including when we did the shoots, all the crew, when we like I said before, like when we're doing creative ideas for that same thing, like my wife, the ideas that she comes with, people that like enjoy, that appreciate the material, that you have a shared thing that comes out.
Mhm.
You have your vision, and they view it, they support it, they like it, they want it to come out, and everything changes. Everything
Yep, yep,
changes.
definitely. Well, I haven't seen questions, so we never went to Spanish either.
Oh yeah, yeah, we do. We should have mentioned that earlier, but yeah, we are Spanish speaking folks, so you can hit it. But good time now. If anybody's there, sorry for neglecting that part of it. But if anybody has any questions, you can certainly hit us with them, and we will,
Claro,
oblige.
puede ser en español o en inglés.
Seguro que sí, también, también.
Now, in case there are no questions, then, or if there are, I mean, we'll wait for a minute or two.
Mm.
Man, thanks. Thanks for doing this.
Oh no, thank you. And like, it goes again. Let's go back to the right people. I like sitting down. How normal this is? Like this isn't fabricated. It's just we sit down. We really enjoy the conversation,
Yep,
and you can tell there's this thing going on. We're like laughing and having a great time.
of course. And
Uh,
I think the thing is that we love the music
mhm.
and we have that shared love for music. Okay. Um,
Anything that you want to try in Latin music, ¿qué género te gustaría explorar? All right, so Latin music, um, I actually have. It's just not come out yet, but I have influences. It's just maybe not. If you listen to, I have some little clips of playing like some clean stuff, and you can tell. Like one of them is kind of like a bossa and seven, another one's whatever. So it's there. But another thing, I'm really folkloric rhythms. There's groups called like Muñequitos de Matanza, which is a Cuban group, folkloric rhythmic group that I actually implement in my prog tunes or fusion tunes. They're already in there. You just gotta listen out for them. There's a lot of African stuff because in Puerto Rico, when you grow up, it's not the same Christmas as you're used to over here, kids. So the Christmas, I think they call it Christmas, but I don't know if that's the right word. Um, People come out with these hand drums, and they're all different sizes called panderos, and some are like this, and they're playing at some rhythms called. There's some that are like bomba, plena. They're like genres, and you'll play. There's a guy play the big drum that's made out of a barrel, and they're drumming, hand drumming, and someone comes out, challenges them, and starts to dance around them, and then the drummer has to like imitate that. So all these things I've heard, like we hear that as kids. We see that as kids. I danced that and I challenged
Mm-hmm.
back home. At my home, we have that like these challenges, like dancing and there's a bulliador trying to grab you, like whatever you're doing, and you're trying to fake him out. And so I think that's a big part of too over like my rhythmic. Yeah, Elliot Carter and all those guys, but um, definitely, you know, definitely it's a big part. So yeah, if you listen to it, you'll listen to some bossa, you'll listen to some uh, rhythmic, folkloric rhythmic stuff as well from the Caribbean. It's in there. You just gotta put your ears to it.
I have it a little more, there in your face, because in my music, if you listen to the band, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of merengue and bachata and palos, which is very much what you're explaining, actually, folkloric music, which is, that kind of drums and all that stuff happening and singing. There's
Let me see.
another question.
Yeah. ¿Qué
¿Qué
música
música
están
están escuchando últimamente? Go first.
Sure. Música están escuchando últimamente. So, yo escucho muchos tipos de música bien diferentes. And I'm going to say this in English afterwards because I know it'll surprise some people. Yo escucho muchas cosas distintas. Like, yo escucho no solamente, no es prog fusion all the time, pero yo escucho como Tomatito, yo escucho a, a Paco de Lucía, yo escucho a Vicente Amigo, yo escucho a Diego El Cigala, yo escucho a, si me están preguntando como más, ah, como en vibes más eléctricos y eso, pues yo sí válgame, so many people, we could be here, um, we could be here a very long time. But I think those are the surprising ones. I think those are the surprising ones that not a lot of people. Y música coral. Música coral. Yo escucho Martin Lauritsen, que es de USC, y escribe mucha música coral.
Okay. Para mí, yo escucho mucho, and I'll say it in English too. I listen to a lot of big band music, orchestral music. Ahora mismo estoy trabajando en una película, so I've been also in kind of some movie stuff. Pero en estos días me traje este disco de Michael Brecker de la universidad. This is Times of the Essence. Tiene a Pat Metheny, Larry Goldings, Elvin Jones, Bill Stewart. It's an amazing album. Es increíble. A mí me encanta Michael Brecker y este lo busqué en estos días porque quería transcribirlo solo de Metheny, básicamente, en ese disco. Esa es otra cosa que yo hago mucho. A mí me encanta transcribir y transcribo de lo que sea. Pero igual, escucho esto, escucho Jim McNeely, lo oigo mucho en Big Band, Maria Schneider. Me encanta María. En estos días he estado mucho en Testament.
Ah, wow, yeah.
Eso es así, pero
Sí.
Testament y Barón Rojo, que me encanta, es un grupo de lo que creció, con los que yo crecí, de rock español, y lo oigo todavía casi siempre, o sea, porque me lleva a esos momentos en que solamente la música te puede llevar. Only music can take you to those moments when you feel like you are 14 or 15 or whatever, when you listen to specific songs.
Yeah, definitely. And that's so there's a combo of nostalgia, and I think that's where all the flamenco stuff kicks in. Because I would listen to it when I was like a teenager a lot. Like we said, Vicente Amigo, Paco Lucía, all those guys, Diego Cigala.
Para mí me pasa que con Barón Rojo y Steve Vai, por ejemplo, if I'm feeling down, I listen to those guys and it takes me back to happy times.
but what I think, and I kind of like divide them when it's music for other types, and I include those in my music, the nostalgia ones. But when it's for me to kind of like progress or like the stuff that I like, anyone that shows me something that I haven't heard before. And this has been my life's goal. Like to find people like this and to try and put out music like that. Because I've heard there's things that I've heard a lot when I want to write, like bringing it back to the like as a player, as a composer. For me, like just having these things that I haven't heard before that like just spark up your
Creativity.
brain.
Hmm.
Think about that first time that I don't know who it was. Think about this player. Who's that player for you? That when you were a kid, you heard him, and if you're a musician, you were like, man, I want to do that. I want to do that. What that musician is doing. This is what I want to do. In a way, I want to feel like that often when I'm listening to music. And when I'm making music, I want to make music that makes me feel like that. That when I hear it, I go like, man, I like how this sounds. This is something different to me. Like this is my jail right here. This is my, you know, getting to bring that out.
I
That's
love that, man. I love that. That's definitely, I think, the entire approach you mentioned before, moving forward, and that's the way we move forward as people. You like something, you put out something else for other people to like. I
this is
think,
why I like Scott. Scott Henderson said it in an interview once. He said, "Man, I used to listen to Miles and I used to listen to this guy, but I didn't want to do that." For me, it was there were. If you go to school, there's the trad guys. I call them the trad guys, right? The traditional, like they're all Charlie Parker or they're all Pat Metheny, or like they just sound like that, and that's amazing. And I would listen to them like play great, but for me, it was like the reason for why those players caught my attention. Pat Metheny, like or Miles. Miles kind of like reinvented music like a good amount of
three
times, right?
times.
So the reason for why they caught my attention was because they brought something new to the table. They brought something new to the table for me, and that was that's kind of like what I train the same deal. So if you want to be if that's what you aspire to, right? The only way is, you know, I kind of took it too hard that like if I want to be in, do something. What do I admire about them? Let's put it this way. What do I admire about them? I admire the fact that they brought something new. So then, how do I get there? It's not gonna be, yeah, we study some of that stuff in school and all that, but for me, it was by doing something different. You try to do something different. You try to get at something different. Not by trying to. And I saw some guys where it was like they were trying to become these people, and by becoming them, like something new was gonna happen. I was like, you can play like them, and that's amazing, and that's congrats, and you're doing something great. But then you're doing something different, right?
Hmm.
But if you're trying to put out your own music, then there's only one way to do that, and it's by speaking your language. Try to speak like bring in your language, and I'm sure that happens to you. Like when you do your compositions, you're speaking your language. You're
Yeah,
coming from your perspective. You're bringing something new to the table, and that's that for me.
that's what you have
That's
to
that's my
try. Yeah.
motor. That's my motor. That's what gets me up in the morning.
Nice. So we have one last question before we go. En español. Los dos estuvieron en banda. Si no me equivoco, los dos, Das Davis SB52. Si no me equivoco, los dos estuvieron en bandas hace mucho tiempo. ¿Cuáles serían las palabras que describirían estos tiempos?
Bandas. I'm not sure that I'm getting at the. If you could elaborate a little bit more, because I'm not.
Well, I think I get it though. Yo creo que él quiere decir que tocamos en algún tipo de banda en algún momento, que ahora estamos, lo que sea, estamos haciendo ahora.
Mm,
Um, yo estuve en diferentes bandas.
mm,
Comencé con bandas de rock. Ahí fue mi introducción al mundo, digamos, de la música. Heavy metal todavía, esas bandas, de la experiencia que tú dices, todavía yo no he sentido lo que yo sentía con esa banda de rock Hecaton. Lo que yo sentía cuando tenía 17, 16 años. Con esa banda yo no lo he sentido más. Nunca.
mm.
porque era como el drive, el motor que me ponía a ensayar todos los fines de semana con la banda, que no salíamos a ningún lado, a estar juntos con los muchachos todo el tiempo. Era diferente.
Mm.
Ahora, por ejemplo, luego trabajé con bandas ya internacionales como Los Ilegales y Son Pane, diferentes bandas, que ya era tocando multitudinario, conciertos de 20.000 personas, 10.000 personas, y ya era diferente. No, era increíble, pero no se sentía como el grupo con el que yo estaba antes. Y ahora tengo mi propia banda de jazz, mi big band, que también es chulísimo. Todos somos súper amigos. And eso es diferente, una experiencia diferente totalmente.
Mm.
Pero increíble experiencia también.
Para mí, yo sí tuve que tocar en agrupación y me encantó, estuvo chévere, um, pero no era lo mío. Y ahora que estoy haciendo el primer disco, es como que ahora es que la cosa se está poniendo buena. Ahora es que finalmente puedo hacer lo que yo quiero hacer. Y, y pues, vamos a ver qué pasa. Vamos a ver qué pasa. Hay una alerta de que otras cosas van a suceder. Vamos a dejar por ahí para no divulgar mucha información, pero esto está, ¿cómo te digo? Ahora es que está empezando lo bueno.
Yo te digo que con lo que tú estás haciendo sé que muchas cosas van a suceder. De aquí en adelante.
Gracias. Sí,
Well,
gracias.
people, thank you very much for joining us. And, extending this hour and 15 minutes or so we spent talking. We could spend 3 hours talking about music.
Easily.
Easy. So thank you, Jan. Thanks a lot, man, for doing this and sharing, your life and your experiences with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, it's just so easy, so easy to speak with you and it's the best setting. Like I said, you gotta find the right people.
Yep.
Always find the right people.
Yep.
If you learn one thing, be it whatever it be, find the right people because it makes it all the better.
It makes it definitely, easy, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, thank you very much. This will be on my YouTube channel and my Instagram. You can check it out another time just to, if you missed something. And Jan, I guess you're going to put it up too at some point.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And by the way, I want to say thank you for doing these chats, with all these players and keeping this music alive, man. You're not only putting music out, but you've become this instrument to also help keep that music moving forward. So we all definitely appreciate that.
I appreciate that you say that.
And it's not just me; it's other players. I'm telling you.
Well, I think if we have an audience somewhere, I think we need to put it out. We need to keep, letting people know what other friends are doing and then just moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I'm all up for it.
Definitely. Much appreciated.
Well, Jan, take care, brother. And
thank you.
Thank you. See you soon again. Actually, in a couple of weeks, I have another guest. I'll let you know in a week or so.
Ooh, interesting.
Take care, brother.
All right. Take care, man.
Bye.
Hey.
Bye, people. See you next time.